What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. Just finished a late series out in Boston, a little Sunday night baseball action against the Boston Red Sox. Unfortunately, another series loss. Not going well. Not going well right now. We know the story. We know what's going on with baseball. We know time's running out. We know the trade deadline's coming. A lot of storylines, a lot of conversations to be had. We'll do everything that we can here on the podcast. Make sure you guys are following us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The boys just dropped a banger, a David Wright banger of a Instagram reel and TikTok, getting views all over the place. Low key, I think is our most viewed Instagram reel. I think it's going to pass Brett Beatty and Garrett Wilson very soon. But yeah, make sure you follow us over there if you have not yet done so. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, whatever it is, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. And also subscribe to the New York Mets YouTube channel so you can see our beautiful faces in the video version of this podcast. James, how's it going over there, man?
It's going pretty well. We had a really fun day of content on Friday. Just pulled up at Mark's apartment. We did a bunch of TikToks. We made that right video together. We're gonna have some funny quiz content coming out for you guys soon. I think we might have figured something out with this format that was used for the right video, which that crispy script writing and the half and half split screen of the highlights and our beautiful faces. So I think that might be something we start to do more of. But I mean, this weekend Mets baseball, it was just another one of these series where it's like kind of this like sobering reality where you're like every time it's like they're gonna turn the corner, they're gonna get hot. David Cohn was singing the praises on Sunday Night Baseball, saying like I think something's gonna happen and win tonight could really help his team get another step in the right direction. Coming into the series, or I think after Friday they'd won. What was there like 15-10 their last 25? Like that's pretty high winning percentage, and they just play two games where you're like, oh man, like it was close and just we didn't have it. And again, I think the word is just sobering.
Yeah, like you said, there were positive vibes going into this. And like sometimes you lose, and that's kind of what happened in game 3 more so than game 2. Sometimes the other team just plays better, and like there's not anything that you can point to and say, this is why that happened, or this is why. Like the Red Sox just outplayed the Mets in game 3. But yeah, the vibes were positive. I mean, like even I'll shout out the Sauce Boss himself, John Heyman. Like he wrote an article about different things that could be happening. And he was even like, hey, like these guys are still good. They still have a lot of good players on this team. Like it would be crazy to just completely give up and think they're out of it because they've had a bad stretch here or there. But yeah, like not getting the series win definitely makes it feel a little bit different, especially after that weird game 1 where they got a really good win, like a good team win, good pitching all around. Like things felt good going into what could have been a series win in the same day on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. And even just like looking this weekend, because we're all doing the same thing. Everyone just keeps looking at the standings. Like, I can't, like, can we do this? Can we make this happen? Like, you look at the teams like ahead of the Mets, you're like, I'm not like, I'm not scared of the Padres, I'm not scared of the Cubs, I'm definitely not scared of the Marlins. And it's like, you can hop those teams. Like, you think about, you just string these wins together, hop these teams. We keep begging for the 10-game winning streak with a nice allergy full pizza on the line for the two of us. But it's just every time, you think you're going to get there, you think you're going to turn the corner, you kind of feel like the switch is going to flip. It's like, all right, it's going to feel good again. And it just doesn't. And that switch just can't get flipped. But we should start with at least a positive. Game 1 on Friday, really, I guess also game 1 on Saturday, weird suspended game. It was also just fun seeing a lot of these guys. His Mets team has a lot of young players on it. Vientos got the call before the game as well. So really cute seeing Alvarez, Beatty, and Vientos, their first times in Fenway Park. The Mets social media put up those cute pictures of them, like looking through the monster windows. They're like, ooh, looked like Red Bay looked like he was like in a drive-through window. It was funny, but nice to see these guys, like just see how amazing their relationship is, like how much they genuinely enjoy spending time together and playing together, and then just being on this team together.
Yeah, the rain kind of just dampened the whole vibes of the day because like you said, like the vibes were good. The guys were hanging out. Kodai Senga making the start as well, his first time in Boston, going up against Masataka Yoshida, another prominent Japanese rookie in Major League Baseball this year. So that conversation was going on, that's narrative as well. But the rain kind of killed the vibes, and the Mets got off to a somewhat hot start. Granted, Senga wasn't as sharp as he has been in previous starts, but the Mets bats were swinging from the first few innings. Got the Nimmo home run, got Vogel back on the board with the home run. Like things were looking good. And then, of course, as we start to get hot, the rain comes in, cools everything off. And they really tried to get this one in. But I don't know if you saw the videos of Fenway Park. I did not realize that place floods like crazy. I know it's an old stadium, so like the plumbing and the what is irrigation? Would that be the right word?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sure it's not up to date with what typical modern buildings do, but it was crazy to see how much water came into that stadium, like the inside of it.
I can't believe you didn't know that. Fenway Park is notorious for the flooding, and it was just the videos and pictures were crazy. Like this made like national news media. Like, oh, like the AP was writing about it. The Daily Mail wrote about it. Like flooding at Fenway Park, like announcers get wet. Like I was listening to this game on the radio, walking to a friend's house on Friday, and Keith Rad was like, "Oh, there's water in the booth. There's water in the booth. Like my book is soaked. Like I gotta fix my laptop." Having guys like, "Oh God, no!" They were like, it was like funny listening to him talk about it. I think you told me too, like watching on
Yeah.
TV. Gary was saying the same thing, and the video of Justin Turner, where if you guys haven't seen it, look it up, just like wading through the tunnel in the clubhouse. I'm like, wow. And like you get the charm of Fenway Park, and I guess you also have to deal with some consequences of that. But it did look like the weather did affect Senga a lot. Like he hasn't pitched in very much weather in his life. Isn't like almost at least every stadium in Japan have a dome, and he looked like he had a lot of trouble gripping certain pitches. We know the Ghost Fork is like a grip laden pitch, but the slider especially, he was throwing a lot more than he had in the last couple of starts, and he was hanging a bunch of them early. He was still missing bats. The fastball still had the zip, and the Ghost Fork still got a bunch of whiffs, but it just looked like he didn't really have any touch or feel. And again, he's been like, if there's anything that Kodai Senga has been inconsistent with in his first year with the Mets, it has been those breaking balls. And it just looked like he couldn't really grip that slider, but still used the cutter a lot. The thing was pitching well, and he was pitching better when the game got suspended. Like he started off poorly, and then he rounded into form. And the suspension of the game, I felt like put the Mets bullpen at a pretty significant disadvantage for the series, because now like having to basically do a doubleheader that you have a 5-inning game and Grant Hartwig is starting it. You're like, and then playing the game that night, you're like, oh God, there's not much left in this bullpen now for these next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to Grant Hartwig. Gave a great, easy 2 innings, a role that he's now been successful somewhat in a couple different times now where, maybe we don't try to get 3 innings out of the guy, but when he goes like 1 or 2 innings, he does pretty well. Like he's had a nice little year. Again, this will be one of the few times I shout out John, but John's been on the Hartwig train forever, and I've been pleasantly surprised at how well he's been pitching this year.
I mean, bottom line, Hartwig, the sweeper is really, really legit. Like he's using that sweeper sinker off each other, mixing in the cutter. Like he does 95, 96. Like that's above average velocity with one really good breaking ball. Like that is a good toolbox as a starter set for being a successful major league reliever. And he is. And it's just weird that again, this like game happening in the middle of the day, like all the awful weather the night before, and it was like nice and bright and sunny when it came back. And then it was a bit of an obscure, even like 5 innings of a game. Beatty got the RBI infield single to give us the lead that would not be relinquished ever, even though they get tight to get close a few times. Got a little scary, yeah. And we had so many chances to add on, which is again just something that's like so like it's like horribly so consistent about this team this year. We get the bases loaded, nobody out, and like somehow like you can't get one in. And again, like Beatty's been swinging the bat well. Francisco Alvarez has been incredibly clutch in his rookie season, and Alvarez popped out, and Beatty had a double play. And then that was the 8th inning. Then the 9th inning, DJ Stewart, we had 8, 9 guys got on to lead off the inning, and then Tapi Over was up, and we couldn't do anything past there again. It was just like, like not getting that insurance run was scary. But Raley and Robertson, who have been both incredible relievers this season, they both did really well, and they slammed the door, and it got that win. And it felt like, all right, there was some vibes here, but those vibes like kind of went away a little bit at the end of the game when those rallies could not be sustained. You couldn't really like step on a throat. Yeah,
it puts a weird like dampener on a very good team win, because it's like, man, it could have been a lot easier or a lot more blown out of the water. Could have almost relaxed a little bit more. Those last few innings got tight because the Mets couldn't get those last few runs. But yeah, I mean, like the doubleheader too. Doubleheaders are always weird, especially with a suspended game. Like you said, having to use the bullpen again and on the same day, never helpful for us. And we also know with Scherzer too, he's like very much a creature of habit with like how he warms up, how he does his stuff. Having a game right before he warmed up, it looks like it might have had a little bit of an effect on him. Like he just wasn't very good, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, something or another. It's just the story with Scherzer has been this for a couple of these bad starts now this year, especially when he's given up the home runs. And it's just that slider. That slider command isn't where it was even last year, and the starts where he's been good this year. And he is throwing it less. He only threw about 50% of the time in this game, but I'm going to send these pictures to Vito side by side to the people watching on YouTube of where his slider, like the slider heat map from last year compared to this year. And it's just so many more have bled over the plate. So many more have been too far out of the strike zone where you're not getting the swing and miss, where it doesn't look close enough. Like it was so tight last year in that low and away corner to the righties. And this year it's just like a little bit more spread out, a little bit all over the place, not finding the spot, and just too many over the plate. And it's been that way all year. This was also a game where the Red Sox power got to Scherzer. He allowed 4 home runs, the lead off to Jarren Duran, and then Tristan Casas for 2, and Yu Chang in the middle of those Casas bombs. That tied his career high for home runs allowed with 4. That's the first time he's allowed 4 home runs in a start since April 2021. Wow. And the first time he ever did that, just looking it up, funny using StatHead before, was in 2011 as a member of the Tigers in Yankee Stadium. The 4 players who hit those home runs against Scherzer, the first time he gave up 4 home runs in the game were Mark Teixeira, a young Robinson Cano, and 2 by Jorge Posada.
Dang,
Yeah, Aaron Jeter were prominent members of that team. Like that's how long ago the first time Max Scherzer gave 4 home runs in a game though. But it's just like because he gave the 2 home runs early, and he settled in, and then in the end it got out of control, and then Trevor Gott did no favors either. But it's not. Oh, it's just it's just not there, and that's always been the pitch that he's leaned on his career. It's been one of the best sliders that any of us are ever going to see in our lifetimes. And when it's not there, and it's not getting the same rate of swings and misses gotten in the past, you just kind of feel that the whole repertoire takes a big hit.
Yeah, and he spoke about it after the game too. He was asked a lot of questions after the game. We'll talk about a few of those a little bit later, but he was talking about his slider. He was like, "Yeah, I just had no feel again. I couldn't get it. Like they were hanging it." He was like, "I had some good ones." He was like, "But man, like kind of when they were bad, they were crushed." And just to talk about some of the Red Sox players quickly a little bit here. Tristan Casas starting to look like a ball player, starting to get a little comfortable. It's kind of just a big sign of what to do with these rookie players who come up with all this hype, because Casas was a very, very highly touted prospect in the Red Sox farm system, hits the ball hard, plays good defense at first, gets on base, like all the things that you like to hear. And he had a really, really tough go of it the first few months in Major League Baseball this past year. But since I want to say like the beginning of July, he's been swinging the bat a heck of a lot better. Saw him have a pretty huge series against the Mets, honestly. He had a really good performance. His OPS is creeping up around 800. Jaron Duran, too, another guy who you just start to get these guys more consistent playing time, who have the talent, who have the ability, and they start to show and start to see the things that make them look so great. So again, this is always just like a little bit of a warning, I guess, to Mets fans. I don't know if that's the right word, but like, hey, these young players take time. It is very, very rare when you get a Juan Soto, a Fernando Tatis. Like those players are once in a lifetime. Even Mike Trout had a horrendous first season when he got called up. Sometimes you got to give them a little bit of time. And like even Beatty, like you said, who has been struggling a little bit, has been swinging the bat a lot better of late, been looking a lot more comfortable as well.
Definitely. Aaron Judge even had a really bad first year in the major leagues. I think we've
Yeah.
I think we've all been cursed by just playing too much MLB The Show, like a lot of us have, and like any video games in general. We're like, oh yeah, development is linear. Every year I get 2 overall points. I have 1 point to power. It's like that's not really how professional sports works. And it's like we talked about this the other day too, or even earlier today, yesterday, I don't remember. Talking about CJ Abrams, a guy who has been a bit of the Mets killer, was involved in the Juan Soto trade last summer, who has all the physical tools, came straight from high school to professional baseball, and had injury, lost some time in the year, and like had only played like less than 100 games in the upper minors before even getting his first major league plate appearance. And it takes time with these guys a lot. Like even like remember last year, that first series that Francisco Alvarez played against the Atlanta Braves, how much people were freaking out that like he wasn't good, he was going to be a bust, he wasn't ready. And just like that's not how this works. Like not everyone can be good right away. And I think Casas, Duran, Abrams, and then soon like Beatty, these are all going to be these are all going to be things that we see. And I loved the way I think the ESPN Sunday night broadcast definitely leaves a lot to be desired sometimes, but I do like that they just like Eduardo Perez and David Cohen just are so knowledgeable of the game, and they were talking to Alex Cora, and they talked about Casas particularly, and Cora's like, I was never worried. Like he's so prepared. He's so like there. He's so focused every single day. Like he never let the struggles get to him. Like he did lose some playing time, and he got better right after that. But like when you see the process and you see the preparation, you can still have your confidence. That's kind of like still where I'm at with a lot of these Mets rookies. And a lot of people have also spoken about Vientos, like now coming back this weekend, how his first cup of coffee here, the stats aren't really tremendous, but we still see him hit the ball really, really hard when he does. Hilariously, in this game too, the Saturday night game, Vientos had 2 hits and no hard hit balls, which is like just a funny little irony there. But just the way these prospects develop is just not like I feel like a lot of us would like them to develop in a perfect world, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's a long game. We're not in it for the short term with the prospects. You never are. You're in it for the long game. As long as these guys at the end or towards the middle just start to play like what we expect them to, things will be great. I mean, we're getting a glimpse of Alvarez. We got a glimpse of Beatty. Vientos was figured out too. And what's funny too about this game, or just the day in general, the first 2. The fact that the Mets were really starting to hit the ball a lot better, like McNeil swinging the bat a lot better. Pete looks just so much better. Looks like his head's been cleared a little bit. We still haven't seen like the home run, the power type stuff just yet, but Pete's getting hits again, which is like pretty huge for a guy who, let's be honest, has been struggling for like 2 months now. So it's good to see that the guys in the middle of this order are swinging the bat a little bit better. And you mentioned even Vientos getting a couple hits. Like McNeil was smiling. McNeil's cracked a smile during this game. I even tweeted, I'm like, Jeff McNeil's having fun playing baseball. Like something's going on. Something's cooking. Even with the vibes of like, man, the lead's being given up, taken back, given up, taken back. It felt like this team just wasn't going to give up. And to their credit, even to the last out, they were very much in this game, keeping themselves in it with the bats.
Yeah, Jeff McNeil with the Little League home run was a
Yeah.
very fun moment. Like that's always gonna make you crack a smile. Like anyone, if you're in a slump and you hit a Little League home run, I think Fenway Park also, no stats on this. John hasn't joined us yet. Fenway Park has to lead the league in Little League home runs over the last like 5 or 7 seasons. We even saw Pete get a triple in this game.
Yeah.
The 7th of Pete's career, and he's lumbering around second base. I look back at that because I was like, that's kind of a lot of triples for a guy who hits as many home runs as Pete. And since Pete came up in 2019, there's only 2 players in baseball with 150 homers and 5 triples. It's Pete and ridiculously Kyle Schwarber.
Kyle Schwarber?
Yeah, right. And the only other guys who are at that level of home runs and even just like sustaining a lot of triples are basically like Shohei
Ohtani
and Jose Ramirez and Mookie Betts.
Yeah, so the best players of baseball.
And I was even looking back at it too, because I was just looking at these stats from 2019. Pete is like 20 home runs clear of the field for home runs since he debuted, which is just, you know, a cool little thing to let everyone remind like how historically great the beginning of his career has been despite a poor couple of months. And got to see Josh Walker in this game again as well. He was a 27th man for the doubleheader, just threw 96 from the left side. Got the hair flowing out the back. I like Josh Walker. I think we don't know what these next few weeks are going to look like with this roster. There's a good chance that some players get more different opportunities than they would have gotten in the first half of the season, or probably the way we expect it to go on opening day. And I think Josh Walker is a guy who probably will get some legitimate run, could get some legitimate run in the bullpen if things do get shaken up.
Yeah, I really hope so, because every time he comes in, I feel like he pitches so well, and we haven't seen him since that Phillies blow up, which it's going to happen. It was 8th inning against the Phillies, who top of the order is like really good. It's going to happen, but I was glad to see him back out there pitching well. Kind of like you, hopefully they use him a little bit more in the future here, because I think he's got some stuff. And from the left side, throwing 96, you don't find that too often. He's also over the top, which is very rare, I feel like, for a left-hander reliever.
Yeah, he's a big, imposing figure on the mound. You probably even think there could even be more to be unlocked there velocity-wise. But really good to see also just, disappointing game, but again, pulling any positives. Mentioned Brett Beatty swinging the bat better. 3 more hard hit balls in this game. Really looks like he is getting it together. We were looking at Beatty because we were just, content brain was moving on Friday. And if you look at like his spray chart on Baseball Savant, the home runs that he's hit, it hasn't been many this year, and that's probably one of the biggest disappointing things about his game this year. But the ones that he has hit are absolutely freaking crushed. And like that's like a cool thing to hang your hat on. That's how you know the power is real, despite the fact that he is hitting the ball on the ground a lot. Like he's still barreling it like a little less than league average, but like not actually at league average. He's barrel raised now at league average. That's a very good thing to see. And he's not chasing. It's a good thing. There's a lot of stuff happening there, and there's not that many guys in the league who can hit the ball as hard as Beatty as consistently as he does.
Yeah, I mean, really, at the end of the day, what happened in this game was pitching just couldn't shut the door. It's a narrative that we've heard kind of all season long. The pitching just was not up to snuff. When we hit, we don't pitch. When we pitch, we don't hit. That's kind of just been the way that things have broke this year. That's kind of how game 2 was. You would have hoped for better, but I mean, we're pulling the positives out of here. You guys know how we roll over on the Mets'd podcast. It sucks. It sucks though to lose that game, no doubt.
Yeah, it did, especially winning early in the day and like having Scherzer as the guy for the next one. You're like, all right, let's go. Let's get on a roll. Let's win something here. But it wasn't. And then game 3, Sunday night, again, ESPN. You guys say what you want about the ESPN broadcast. At least it's not K-Rod, where the guy Johnny Damon is telling anecdotes about Kid Rock, which is honestly probably like the highlight of what they could do on that. I heard an anecdote about Kid Rock recently as well. I told you guys I was at that bachelor party in Las Vegas a few weeks ago. Also, that audio was just awful. Another apology for that, but my freaking hotel had no Wi-Fi. I can't even believe that. But someone who I was with in the bachelor party, a dude who I only met like a time or two, he said he was at a bar. I want to say it was Florida, or it was Tennessee. It was a place where you'd expect Kid Rock to be.
Yeah.
And he just met Kid Rock at the bar, and he said they hung out for like 4 hours.
No way.
He's drank with Kid Rock all day and night. I was like, that's incredible. Like Kid Rock's never someone I'd like seek out and be like, yeah, I would like to hang out with Kid Rock. He's definitely not like a very I don't know. He's not a figure I would leave. He's not like my dream dinner date.
Yeah.
No, it's not like Abraham Lincoln, Prince, Kid Rock. Like that's not who's coming to dinner with me if I can get anyone from history. But it's funny to hear people and Johnny Damon too talk about Kid Rock. I feel like Johnny Damon and Kid Rock are 2 peas in a pod. But this game got very frustrating early because Carlos Carrasco, there was a ball that looked like it could have been called a strike and it would have got him out of the first inning, and then it wasn't called a strike, and he wound up laboring about 20 pitches through there, allowed a run, and it just seemed like he was kind of off kilter. And then he ran a play to cover third on a ball where Jaron Duran was on first. Brett Baty threw the ball to first. There was no one covering third base. Carrasco ran to cover it, and Duran kind of like hit him in the shoulder a little bit, like knocked him back. And it looked something just wasn't really right from that point on. And the rest of that third inning was just, I think that actually happened the second. And then the third inning came, and it was a complete other just disaster. One of the worst Mets innings of the year. Red Sox had 7 consecutive hits, which I feel like you'll never see that in modern baseball anymore. Another thing that probably happens exclusively at Fenway Park because of how ridiculous BABIPs are there. But they were just hitting it really hard, not at people, and then they just kept getting hits, and it was a short night for Carrasco.
Yeah, a lot of ground balls. It wasn't like the ball was being crushed in the air, just like hit hard into the ground where the Mets weren't. Carrasco just didn't have his best stuff. I mean, we've seen it. He's been very hot and cold this year on how his performance is. It's kind of just a day-to-day thing. Today was one of those days that we just didn't get it. He also had that weird play, like you mentioned too, where I think Buck even mentioned afterwards, I thought he rolled his ankle a little bit maybe, where Jaron Duran slid into third. Shout out to Mark Canha, making great plays all day. He also picked off Rafael Devers on that back pick to third. Granted, it made no difference because the game was pretty much out of hand, but that was a great play.
And he had that amazing throw in this third inning of chaos from the monster, the second base on a fly. He almost got Justin Turner out and what looked like a sure double. Gannon had 3 outfield assists in this game. They all happened in the first 6 innings. First Met to have 3 outfield assists in a game since Andy Chavez in June 2006.
Wow.
That's that courtesy of Sarah Langs because they're still missing John over here. But those balls, right, Carrasco let him play, were on the ground, but they were smoked. The Red Sox put 13 balls in play against him. 11 of 13 were over 90 miles an hour. 9 of 13 were over 95 miles an hour. And 7 of the 13 were over 100 miles an hour.
People are going to get so mad at us because we talk about how much we hate ground balls all the time. And then it's like, but the Red Sox won with ground balls. It's like, yes, but they hit them really hard. That's different.
Yeah, I'll let you always hit the ground ball. Kyle Body, who's I think he's the founder, the drive line, or at least he had head pitching coordinator for a while. He went to the Reds for a few years to lead their player and pitching development. And the Reds took all his ideas and fired him, which is a really fascinating thing that the Reds did, why they're so good right now. But he like posed a really interesting question on Twitter, a really cool thread from a couple of years ago. Basically, like, would you rather get a whiff or a ground ball if like you had to get to like if you had to pick one? And he, interestingly, and I think this probably came from him building a team that was going to be playing in the Great American Ballpark, which is one of the friendliest hitter parks in the league, especially for home runs. He was basically like a ground ball, like no matter what, it really can't hurt you that badly. There's also the shift days, so it was a little different. Ground balls are even more valuable than to get as a pitcher, but just like the fact that you get a ground ball, like what's the best that can happen? If it's a perfect ground ball, maybe a double. Like if you get a whiff, you're giving the guy another pitch and maybe hit the home run. You know what I mean? Like if you get a ground ball every single time you're out there, you're probably going to do really well. We've seen Framber Valdez run like the 60% ground ball rates for years and turn himself into an elite pitcher. But it's not what happened for Carrasco in this game. The Red Sox were all over him. Sneaky deep lineup over there in Boston too.
Sneaky.
Yeah, Heim Bloom has built a really annoying, weird, like silly team over here.
Competitive.
Yeah, competitive, crafty. Like Justin Turner looking like he's gonna have one of the best seasons of his career, which you always feel this every single time the Mets play against Justin Turner. It happened for years with the Dodgers. Now it happens here where Buster Olney grins. He's like, hey, DFA by the Mets. And he's like, we know, Buster. We're really aware of it.
He wasn't that player with us. He was never that player.
He became that player with the Dodgers. The Dodgers getting a 125 WRC plus to that Jason Hayward right now. They know how to do things with hitting that no one else does. David Peralta's having a legit incredible season right now for the Dodgers.
Trace Thompson.
David Peralta's almost hitting 300. I think it's like 288 as of play beginning today. So they do things with hitters that no one else can really figure out. And it's not like, we should figure it out. No one else figured it out. 29 other teams, like, how the Dodgers get this out of these hitters every single year? They have this band of, like they let Cody Bellinger go. Any other team letting Cody Bellinger go before he had this massive breakout, people would be like, oh, this is ridiculous. Dodgers don't even notice it because Jason Hayward's, like, filling in his absence. Looks great. Like, they're going to get good offense out of Miguel Rojas before you know it, your boy. But it's you always get that like little twinge of it whenever the Mets play against Justin Turner. And you always feel that pit in your stomach where you're like, damn, if he was playing third base for the Mets the last 10 years, it really could have been a lot different. And he's like, he's gonna have 100 RBIs at 38 years old. Oh my god, it's this thing. But it's funny what that team is. I think there's a lot of Red Sox fans who are probably still a little bit trepidatious to trusting Heim Bloom because the Mookie Betts trade definitely will still go down. It's still going to go down. Even as good as Alex Verdugo has been filling in admirably, like Mookie Betts looks like he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So it doesn't really think. Yeah.
Like what? He's like 1/4 of Mookie Betts, maybe. Like
I think in terms of WAR, yeah, probably like 30% of Mookie Betts. But they locked up Devers, and it was fun also to listen. I always think it's crazy that they'll mic these guys up during plays.
Yes,
but they agree to it, so I guess it's okay. And it was crazy, like, listening to him talk. He seems so fun. They were like, what's your relationship like with Alex Cora? He was like, it's my dad.
Well, he was talking about the contract negotiation, and he was like, or they talked about it off camera maybe. And Eduardo was like, yeah, he told me that like Alex Cora was like don't sell yourself out. Don't give them the eyes when they put $300 million in front of you. Like, act cool, act tough. Be like, that's nothing. I need more. He's like, don't be like, oh my God, this is the most money I've ever seen. Thank you so much. Like, that's definitely one really cool thing that Sunday Night Baseball does, is getting these players to be mic'd up, talking during the game live. It's a good way to grow baseball. I mean, just think about all the different things that you've remembered from the guys talking throughout the years. Like, you start to learn about some personalities of these players. Even Rafael Devers doesn't speak like a lick of English, basically, none at all. But like, that was a great interview that he had. Like, that's something I'll remember. I always love when the Mets guys gets mic'd up too.
Yeah, Carl Ravage tried to speak to him in Spanish, and he was like,
yeah.
"What?" He's like, "What'd you say?"
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that was the Alex Cora question. But again, another disappointing series loss for the Mets. We felt like they could have like really kept getting some momentum after coming out, like after the White Sox series and heading into the break as hot as they were, where you're just like so close and you just couldn't get it. And it's like that's kind of just been the theme of the season over and over again. And we don't know what's going to happen next week. We have no idea. We only hope to find out. And that's just the same spot as you guys there.
No, I mean, truthfully, like, we know absolutely nothing. Obviously, we just do the podcast for the team. But like, the Mets right now are 7.5 back from the wild card. The trade deadline is a week away, right? It'll be August 1st.
Yes.
So it'll be a week away when you guys listen to this. The Mets have to start like winning games right now, because they're in a very weird spot of whether they're going to buy or they're going to sell or they're going to hold pat or whatever it's going to be. We're not sure. We're not sure. You kind of can't make that decision. It feels like just yet. You don't want to give up on a season and start making moves for guys and start thinking about the next year, because they're not completely out of it. Of course not. 7.5 games with like 70 games left in the season isn't unthinkable. You've seen teams do it before, but the issue is you got to start winning games now. And as the season's getting shorter and the deadline's approaching, this team could look different on the field next week even could look at a different team. So something to keep in mind, something to keep an eye out for here as we have these last two series before the deadline hits, the Yankees and the Nationals coming up. Luckily, the Yankees have not been playing good baseball of recent. They have been big time struggling. They just swept the Royals, but that's like not an accomplishment because the Royals low-key have a worse record than the A's. Nobody's talking about that. Everyone said the A's are the worst team in baseball. No one's talking about how bad the Royals are. But the Yankees haven't been playing good baseball. And the Nationals, we know, only like 5 games back of the Mets. But it's not like a team that instills fear in your hearts by any means. I'm also kind of pausing a little bit here because has John joined us? Can we do the estimate, or is John not here yet? Because I have no clue how many balls were hit off the Green Monster, to be honest. And John texted us thinking we would have a clue.
Yeah, definitely won Francisco Lindor Sunday night. I watched that one. I saw that go, but I don't know either. So I guess just...
And speaking of which, I mean, might as well talk about this Yankees preview as well. Subway Series, last 2 games of the year at Yankee Stadium. Tickets are pretty cheap because the Yankees, nobody wants to go there. Their fans are a little soft. So if you're looking to go to the game as a Mets fan, you could get a pretty decent seat for pretty cheap right now. So I'd suggest you go check out the secondary market maybe and go see what's available for you. What are the pitching matchups for this series? I truly have no idea.
Yeah, pitching matchups, Tuesday, 7 o'clock, TBS game. So get ready for that one, guys. A little sneaky one. Justin Verlander versus Domingo Germán. And then Wednesday, also 7:05, Jose Quintana versus Carlos Rodon, 2 offseason acquisitions.
Jose Quintana versus Carlos Rodon. Rodon has not looked great. Well, he didn't look great, especially in his last start when he blew kisses to the Yankees fans who were booing him. It's not a good way to get endeared with the Yankees fans.
No, the Yankees fans are they
are animal.
Yeah, they are animal. They bully Joey Gallo out of the city. Like they're not ones to trifle with. They're a terrifying bunch. So that was an interesting move by Rodon. We also know that Rodon's a bit of a showman, and we also do know still that Rodon is an incredible pitcher. And I know for sure that he will round into form because he is, especially like pure talent wise, he's one of the best there is. But yeah, this Yankee team has definitely had not so good of a couple of months here. Since Aaron Judge went in the IL. That happened. That injury was sustained on June 3rd. So since June 4th, they have the second fewest runs scored in all of baseball. The only team with fewer are the Kansas City Royals. Like that's where the Yankees' offense has been right now. They basically, but their pitching is still great. They've one of the best bullpen ERAs in the league, and the rotation is it's good and it's like has solid depth. Like Germán has had a good year objectively. The perfect game was weird, and he's just like a really, really horrific person. But he has had like an okay season. Actually, 4.5 ERA is a little bit higher than I thought, but he did that thing that a lot of pitchers are doing now where he's like, I'm just going to, my curveball's my best pitch. I'm going to make it my primary pitch. I don't really care about anything else anymore. So he's going to be pesky and annoying, just dropping curveballs in all day. They're pretty good. And again, Rodon hasn't started off great, but we know he is still good. And again, this lineup, Anthony Rizzo, his first home run in 40-something games on Sunday. DJ LeMahieu's having a not so good season. Gleyber Torres was day to day. I'm not sure if we're going to see him. Maybe the day off will probably get back. Yeah, they lack a lot of punch without Judge, and we don't care about jinxing anything anymore.
No.
Like the Yankees will probably go out and score 14 runs against us, but it's just really that offense kind of beleaguered. We have an opportunity with Verlander, Quintana, two starting pitchers, but at least have a lot of good success lately. Quintana only one start, but he did look good just to get out ahead of them.
Yankees have one player on their active roster right now with an OPS plus above 100. Who is it, James?
Jake Bauers.
No, he's hurt. He's on the IL. The answer we're looking for is Gleyber Torres with 111. Otherwise, every other hitter on that team has an OPS plus below league average. Like, this is not the same Yankees teams that you're accustomed to. I talked to you about this in the offseason because I was big the Yankees aren't as good as you thought they might have been. But I was like, if Judge is not in that lineup, they have nothing. They've got nothing going on. Like, Giancarlo Stanton is a husk of himself. He's not even a shell. He's a husk. He looks like he's in pain while he's moving. Every single time he moves, it's like, oh my God, I'm in so much excruciating pain. And maybe he is, which tip your cap to him if he's playing in pain. Volpe, I think, is like the bright spot because he has been playing better, especially in the second half. And he's at least a young, exciting player on this team. But like, you look around the field and you just go, yeah, I just like don't care about any of these guys, and they're not really important at all.
And they're also in a division that is the most competitive we've seen in baseball in a really long time. And a big part of that is also because of how they changed the schedule, which I'm sure every single team in that division is really grateful for because all 5 teams are over 500. But it's a fun, vibrant division. The Orioles are the best story, like in sports. The Rays, we know about the Rays. The Blue Jays are having a good year. We just watched the Red Sox. Those these plucky underdogs up in Boston. This Yankee team just lacks that oomph, that power. Like, the only thing that's really cool about this Yankee team is the fact the bullpen is a lot of fun, is really exciting. Like, Michael King's taking a little bit of a step back, but he's still really, really good reliever. We're not going to see Ian Hamilton. He's on the IL, but he invented his own pitch, the Slambio, which is a really cool thing, a slider and a changeup together. And he's Spanish. I was like from Spain, I believe. So he took the word cambio for change and put that Slambio. Clay Holmes has gotten back to having a good run of it. Jimmy Cordero's cut that. I forgot about him. It's a good, interesting team. They're funny. It's really bizarre that this Yankees team is now built on like strong bullpen, like starting pitching at the top, and they just can't manufacture offense any which way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like this series, the Mets have to win 2 games. I think they got to come out, win 2 games for things to be feeling positive. It's just that these are do or die games right now for how this team could look after the trade deadline if you want to be competing for a wild card spot, which is what they're doing right now. Got to win. The Yankees are a very, very beatable team. Can't stress that enough. Get out early, swing the bats like they did in Boston. Outside of game 3, they swung the bats well. Just keep doing it. Play good baseball. Should be okay. Now, I did go to Twitter, wanted to get some mailbag for you guys too, just because I figured it was going to be a little bit of a quicker episode. A couple questions here from guys. This one comes from Pat Stats. He has 1 baseball question, 1 non-baseball question. Honest opinion of Mets pitching this year. And he kind of said it. He was like inconsistent. I think that's kind of what it is. We've been able to see the peaks. Like Max Scherzer has had great starts. Justin Verlander, Carlos Carrasco. You could go to every single pitcher in this rotation. You go to every middle reliever, setup man, closer. They've had these big moments where you're like, there it is. But the consistency over the year just really hasn't been there. And that's kind of what we've been missing, I feel like, right?
Yeah, definitely. Especially compared to last year. Like, we're beating the drum over and over again. But just like having Bassett and Taijuan Walker every 5th day, we have a stable floor here. These guys are going to pitch well. They're going to give you 5, 6, 7s, once in a while 8 innings. Like, having that every single day, it's just such a trickle down effect to help the whole team. Like, your hitters feel better about it because you know you're getting a good start that day. Your bullpen is better because they're not being used as much. Like this, it all always comes back in baseball to starting pitching. As much as the league changes, as much as everything happens, it's always coming back to starting pitching. Teams are always at the top because they get a lot of steady pitch play out of their starting pitchers. And then everything else works off there. And just that has been, we know we're watching all these games that everyone can see that has been the big issue for the Mets this year. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. Like, I think about 2019, we were comparing the season of 2019 a lot in the Mets Up group chat there. And I remember something very critical that happened in 2019 that did end up helping this team a lot in the ensuing years. Not again, 2020, 2021 weren't great in terms of victories, but just like, this was a kind of like shrewd move that help put the team in a much better position to build in the offseason. It was the acquisition of Marcus Stroman. Because people are like, oh, the Mets are trading prospects for a pitcher like this. They're not even having a good season right now. But just the fact that they were able to grab a guy like that who was under team control, who they knew just was like stable floor. Pitch every 5th day. You can pitch every 5th day. Like that's that. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see how these next few weeks, how this next not few weeks, this next 10 days plays out here.
Yeah. Next question from Pat too. What's your average bowling score, James? What do you think your average bowling score is? We've been bowling a lot recently.
We have been bowling a lot. I had a really bad night bowling last Wednesday, but average.
Well, we had a couple drinks in us too. So.
Yeah, it was hot. The Guther's a fun place, but I don't know. I think average I'm like probably 110, 115.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah, peak up in like peak around 150, and then I hit like 175, 180 like once or twice the last few months, and then just like those low lows, like once in a while I have like a 95 game. Like, that was trash. What do you think yours is?
Yeah, I think I'm right around 100. I think 100's right where I hang. Like 95 to like 105 is kind of my sweet spot, and I think like my good game is like I'm pushing 120, 125, which done a couple times. But yeah, not last Wednesday at the Gutter. We were having some fun. We were having a good time.
Yeah, the boys were doing creative bowling. We did a game where we had to go through your legs. We did a game where you went no fingers. Did a game only thumbs. Like it was
left-handed.
Yeah, left-handed. Left-handed was fun actually. I almost broke 100 left-handed. That was pretty cool. But that was a good night of bowling. Bowling's great. Everyone should get out there and bowl.
100%. Last one, combination of from at It's Sean O and Ryan Anzalone, just about some prospects that are being slept on maybe in the Mets organization or guys that we could look forward to maybe as the season goes on. The obvious one is obviously Ronnie Mauricio. I think everybody's excited for him whenever he gets to make his debut, if that's going to happen this year or not. Just really good player, like hits for power, just exciting stuff. We saw him in spring training, just hit some absolute bombs. So whenever he gets his chance, it'd be super excited for him. In terms of other prospects, I mean, just going quickly around, like Jet Williams has been great. I don't think he's going to make the roster this year, but he's been awesome in the minors.
I think from guys who are could have a chance to make the roster this year. And again, if you guys want to learn more about the Mets prospects, definitely check out John Vito Show, The Future of Flushing. The crop of young pitchers who are moving through the organization right now between Mike Vassell, Christian Scott, and Tyler Stewart, I think all have different things that make them exciting. Vassell's the highest of them all in AAA right now. Now these in AAA, we can get like pitch scores and you can get movement from prospects live, and then you can get Saris has his AAA stuff plus for anyone who subscribes to The Athletic, and Vassell's stuff's great. It's basically his league average, which is kind of what we expected, but the way he's grown and the way he's progressed over the last few years, we know the stuff has improved a few times already, and once you see some improvement, that's usually a good indication that you could see more improvement. But I think the guys like stuff-wise, I'm a little bit more excited about Scott and Stewart. Stewart has been blazing through the Mets minor leagues this year. Statistically, is very impressive, and he throws gas. And Scott also he keeps building, getting better and better. Those guys are both in AA right now. I think those are guys who you could, because there's going to be a position where like we know how like tenuous this Mets rotation could be going forward. Like you need to almost give some of these guys a shot this year to know what you have and how to plan for them for next year. Like, can I count on Christian Scott for 80 innings? I count him for 140 innings. Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a bulk guy? Like what's the potential role for these guys who are already 23, 24 years old going to be for the 2024 Mets? And that's something I think there's a good chance that it's possible we see that this season.
Yeah, Vito hitting us with a little stat here, taking over for John. Stewart had another start with under 2 earned run this weekend, 16 straight. Like, that's fantastic. That's awesome. That's a really, really good job.
And Scott's been blazing hot as well. He just has a start on I guess he's due to pitch probably Monday, but he has a start on July 18th where he went 7 innings, struck out 8, didn't walk any. Like that's a great game. It's a really great game. That's something that is a good chance that now, because once you get to AA, like you're on the precipice of the major leagues. We've even seen some of the teams, especially because the weird rules in AAA and the fact that the PCLs play crazy altitude. That's not where the league the Mets play in, but there's a lot of teams just like skipping guys for AAA now, just sending them right to the majors because the talent level isn't really that different. And it's just like, it's weird, especially the automatic balls and strikes in AAA and the fact that they don't do it every game. So some of your starts, you'll have automatic balls and strikes, and some starts you won't. I would love to hear Vassell talk about that, because I've heard Ben Brown talk about that, the prospect in the Cubs that was traded for David Robertson last year, who it went viral. He was team's 28th ranked prospect, but now in all the rehashes, he's like a clear top 10 pitching prospect in baseball. But he's a guy who's much more of a stuffist. Vassell is going to be a command guy who just has enough stuff to get by. And he has talked about like his challenges facing, like some days having the automatic strikes, on some days not having it, and just these massive inconsistencies. So I bet a guy like Vassell, who is going to lean on command, could be a reason why he's had some not so great results in the beginning of his run in AAA.
No, 100%. And honestly, like, just we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens as the season goes. Win some games here. Maybe we don't have to worry about this stuff. I'd love to not have to worry about bringing up some guys here. That'd be a good sign. So John is finally here. Let's go ahead and bring in John and go ahead and do the estimate for us. It's at the end. Who cares? We'll change things up. Get John in here. Always rocking the Indiana Hoosiers. What, is that a long sleeve?
It is a long sleeve. What's up, guys? How you doing? Yeah, I just came from City Field. Was enjoying a little footy, a little Leagues
Ooh.
Cup action between NYCFC and Atlas of Liga MX. So I was in air conditioning, and honestly, it wasn't even warm enough still. So next time I got to wear my Indiana sweatshirt. But definitely getting ready for college football season. Know the listener love the CFB talk.
Yeah, they
So
love it.
so looking forward to that. But yeah, glad to be here with you after a cool weekend in Boston. Fenway's always great.
It's
So
really
really
cool.
cool to see the boys playing there. But now the Bronx. So I was just driving home, guys, and there was an FAN caller who
This is gonna
said
be
he was
good.
older. Said he was older, and I don't know if you guys saw this. The Yankees rolled out the patch on their
Mhm.
uniform,
Yes.
Star Insurance, which I mean, good for Star. Like that's some valuable
It's
real estate.
impressive.
The Yankee jersey.
Oh yeah.
I kind of think it's like I had never heard of Star before. I heard of New York Presbyterian. I heard
Yeah,
of
it's a big company.
Motorola and a lot of other patches on teams' uniforms. But yeah, this guy was like, "Yeah, I'm never going to a game again. They're ruining tradition." And
Wait till he
it was
sees the City Connect jerseys. He's gonna freak
Uh,
out.
he is gonna freak out. I mean, unless they
are
don't have
they
pinstripes on them.
getting them soon?
Next year, I think. Next year.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they would be. Well, how many have there been so far? I feel like
I
half
think
the league
like
has them now.
I think a little
I
more than
think like
half.
yeah, a little more than half. And I think that there's like 8 next year and 8 the year after, maybe. I think they're done by 2025. So
Okay.
Angry Yankee fan, Staten Island uncle, who Vito tells me not to talk to anymore, but I'm always gonna talk to him because he's hysterical. He first of all, his take is that the Yankees should sue the Dodgers for the concrete block that hurt Judge's toe in the outfield. He's been saying that one for a while,
Not a
and
bad idea.
he is absolutely so up in arms over the jersey patch. I think especially because the team isn't playing well again, so it's just
oh,
like you're
yeah.
really kicking these Yankee fans while they're down. That came around the same time the House Steinbrenner was like, people aren't happy with the season. The team's playing fine. And all those happen within like a week of each other. And I think, yeah, he's really, really disgruntled by the patch. He's damaging the pinstripes. It's no purity with that.
I don't know. I mean, how do you not get it from if you're a Yankee fan that like this is what the sport is now? They put the Nike swoosh on the uniform. Like
John, you're
this is what
asking for nuance from Yankee fans.
You're asking for a common, sensible, rational take from the most irrational fan base in all of sports.
I wonder if young Yankee fans feel the same way as the old Yankee
No,
fans do.
Couldn't
no,
care
young.
less.
It
That's
can't.
I
true.
Yeah,
think
it
I
can't
think like
be
there's
right.
like 4% of the Yankee fans are like really good, earnest baseball fans. Like love the game, like really value it. But most young Yankee fans are just future old Yankee fans, and that's always going to be an issue.
Yeah. Well, I wonder. I mean, hey, maybe one day they'll have the names on the back of the uniforms. You never
Ooh,
know.
yeah, I hope so. Please.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's the best thing when you go around. You see the old school Yankee jerseys. Like you'll see Mantle with the name on the back. It's like, do you have any idea what that goes on in this organization? Like Ruth 3. It's like, why are you guys joking? But
And it's like there's only one number 3. There's only one
Yeah.
number 7. Like you don't need to
yeah,
put the name there. We know who it is. Plus,
No,
not
that's
having the
what-
name is advantageous. Like if you bought a Jason Giambi jersey back in what did he sign?
Yeah.
02? Yeah, 02 was his first year with the Yankees. That then became a Mark Teixeira jersey. Or if you bought a Tino Martinez jersey once upon a time, that then became a Gary Sanchez jersey with no problem,
Yeah.
seamless. Like I go out and get Roberto Alomar Jr. or Roberto Alomar jersey when I'm whatever 12 years old. That thing stayed Roberto Alomar forever. Like
yeah, but
it
you want
didn't
you
become
want it that
anything
way.
else.
That's
Dude,
kind
that
of the best way to
25,
be.
that 25 from Teixeira and Giambi is also Gleyber Torres now. You have a
That's
current
right.
jersey.
That's right. That's 3 solid players, all for one jersey, and they don't change the uniform. Like the road grays are the road grays, the home
Well,
pinstripes are the home pinstripes.
They've got
So-
that patch now.
Well, I wonder if they would be so. I don't even know the word I'm looking for to sell it with the patch.
Oh,
I'd-
please.
That'd be
Like
awesome.
a real authentic. You want every single stitch to be what they wear on the field.
I was thinking that. Like, is that something that I mean, you guys would know better than us. Like, are the Mets jerseys in the team store? Are they got Presbyterian on them?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a fan wearing a jersey unless like it's a game used uniform that someone buys.
Vito
I haven't
says
seen
no.
that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't
'Cause that-
seen that.
That's like a whole other like offshoot of like where that marketing money could wind up. Like then now eventually you're selling it. These are on TV, and now the people are wearing them on the streets, like with your brand on it as well. It's kind of interesting because the soccer ones all do, as we all know. Like that becomes the jersey.
Dude, soccer ones, because like baseball is different with the replica and authentic jerseys. There's differences, but with soccer jerseys, the difference between what they call replica and authentic is the patches on the sleeves. Like getting the Premier League patch and getting whatever the other patch is on the other arm. It's a huge deal, like between replica and authentic jersey. Otherwise, they're the same. Where baseball is a little different.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's actually interesting marketing because then every jersey kind of makes people walking billboards. So,
Yeah.
I just said that.
oh, I didn't hear you say that. I didn't hear you say that. I mean, good minds think alike, James. Anyway,
It's a late night for the new dad. What do you got for us for estimate, John? I want to
All
let you
right.
go to sleep.
yeah, I got to feed a baby first. But all right, so going to Yankee Stadium. If I were a Yankee fan, I wouldn't be upset about the patch. I'd be upset about the dimensions of my stadium. It's still just every time I watch a game there, I cannot believe some
It's
of the
for
balls
babies.
get out to right field. It is it's something else. So for this series, I want to know how many home runs do you guys think will be hit that would not get out in at least 20 other major league stadiums. So balls that get out of Yankee Stadium that are not gone in a third of the other stadiums.
Okay. I've got
Okay.
my answer.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, 2 games, so not a huge, not a
Yeah.
lot of pitches.
Yeah, I got the whiteboard here for this one.
I don't have the whiteboard or anything, so write your number. We'll get it, and then we'll wrap this up because it's getting late.
Tired.
It is getting
Yeah,
late.
it's been a long Sunday night baseball grind's a little different.
Oh God. Especially this game of Sunday Night Baseball. You're like, why, guys? Why? Why'd you do this to us? But yeah.
All right, you guys ready? We'll wrap up here. All right, 3. Ooh, sirens are going off. 3, 2, 1.
1.
3.
All right.
Uh,
I'm with James on this one.
yeah, it's gonna be a few. Mets are gonna put a couple out this series. I'm sure of it.
I'd love to be wrong if it's the doing of the Mets. I'd love to be wrong.
Do you guys remember Eric Young Jr.'s massive series at Yankee Stadium in 2014?
How could you ever forget?
Of course.
There
Actually,
you
do
go.
that.
That kind of inspired me for this one. He had a couple. EY hit a couple wall scrapers at
Couple
Yankee
cheapies
Stadium
there.
that got out.
The
Yeah,
Yankee Stadium special.
It's gonna be a big pride series for both of these teams. It's gonna be interesting to see how this looks on the field. It just doesn't have the same luster as Subway Series in the past. Like when we went to the Subway Series game last year, both of the ones at Citi Field and Yankee
Yes.
Stadium, the places were freaking buzzing. Both teams, like some of the best records in baseball. Like, it'd be interesting to see what the vibe is like. Well, if you guys are going to Subway Series also these couple days in Yankee Stadium, definitely keep your cool, keep your composure. These are two fan bases that right now are not happy with the way the season is going, and it's just it's always like kind of it's a bad cocktail always when you get these fans together. Sometimes could
Never
get
worth it.
especially
Never
in
worth it.
Citi Field is a place of class. It's a place of society. It's a place where good people come to watch.
Families.
Some people come to watch good baseball. Yeah, Yankee Stadium. It could be a bit of a cesspool once in a while. So you gotta watch out for Sal and his big gold chain.
Might be a better place for Johnny Frats, not John the father. Let's just put it that way.
No. I would go with the baby Bjorn on my chest. That's where I would take that there. And my hat would be forward, or I'd have no hat on my head whatsoever.
Respectable. I love seeing the evolution to John. But anyway, John, thank you so much for giving us the estimate. We'll catch you soon. And honestly, that's pretty much it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. You know where to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Mets'd. Go subscribe to the New York Mets YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. And if you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And me, Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. You can see it underneath our faces on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. And we'll catch you after the Subway Series. Peace out.